Hello again, it's Dorothy with Stage and Sell. Last time we talked about living rooms, and those are very important rooms because, again, it's one of the very first rooms that you get into when you enter a house. Today I want to talk to you about dining rooms. Now, dining rooms can be located in the houses of today in a lot of different places. Sometimes when you walk into a larger home, particularly a two-story home, you'll have a room to one side or the other or both. And a lot of people use those as dining rooms. I've even walked into homes where the dining room is the very first room in the house. And so you have to determine what's there and how you're going to utilize that depending on where your dining room is located. You're not going to change your procedures, but you do just want to be aware that it's very important as a result for the dining room to be staged well just as much as the rest of the house. So we're going to look at a number of things in the dining room. Again, let's stand in our doorway and take a look at that room. What do we see? Let's take a typical dining room. Most of us have a table and chairs, at least 6, maybe 8, depending on the size of the table and the size of the room. A lot of us have a rug under there on top of our carpet perhaps, or if we have a hardwood floor, just a rug. A lot of us have a china cabinet or hutch, and it's usually crammed full with grandmother's china and mother's china and our china, and it looks like maybe a store because we have so many things inside of it. And of course it's beautiful, but again, is it really all necessary? So we want to take a look at that. What have we got on our walls? What have we got, what's hanging from our ceiling in terms of a chandelier, that kind of thing. So let's just take a look here and see. Now, we don't have a focal point in the dining room other than the dining room table, and that's what we really want to concentrate on. So look at your table. How long is it? How big is it? In most cases, you want to take out the leaf if it has a leaf. You want the table to look smaller so that the room is going to look bigger. You don't want a dining room where people have to go sideways to get around the table in order to walk around. If you do, they're going to be thinking, not enough space. So you need to get rid of that leaf. Also, look at how many chairs you've got. You want to use no more than 4 to 6 chairs. If you have the armchairs that perhaps at either end of your table, put those in the garage or your storage unit. Use the armless chairs because those take up less space, and again, they give more of the elegance and the look of space to your dining room. So you've gotten rid of the leaf, you've shortened your table perhaps by a foot, foot and a half, and you want to look then at what your dining room and table and your chairs are sitting on. Are you using a carpet or a rug underneath them? Now again, if we've got our neutral colors in play, you may want to use that rug for some color, and that's fine if it's useful, if it's clean, if it's not shabby, or it doesn't look like it's been there for 45 years, because you just need to make things look fresh and appealing. So I would much rather have you roll up that piece of carpet and put it somewhere else than to use it unless it really looks good. But let's assume that it does look good, and let's assume that it will fit to where your dining room table and the back legs of your chairs all fit on the carpet. You don't want the front legs of the chair on the carpet and the back legs sitting off of the carpet. You do want your chairs pushed up to the table as closely as they'll go. And then you want to take a look at the table itself. What's on it? A lot of folks use tablecloths. We don't want to do that when we're staging, unless if you've got a table that's in really bad shape. First of all, I would suggest rent another one if you can. There's a lot of great furniture rental places that you can rent a table for about a month and get one that looks good. If you can't afford to do that for some reason, then okay, use a tablecloth. But that would be the only circumstance under which I'd like to see you use a tablecloth. Otherwise, I'd like you to leave that tabletop bare, except for perhaps a table runner right down the center. Because again, what we're going to do is we're trying to call attention to the table as our focal point. We want it to look elegant. We want it to look graceful. So put a table runner down the center of the table, and then I want you to put a nice centerpiece in the middle. You can use a plant. You can use a plant and candles. Again, use our 135 thing, but make it look elegant. And I'm sure you have stuff around the house, maybe stored in a closet, maybe some of that china or whatever that's in the middle you want to use as your centerpiece, but that's what you want to do. Again, you can use artificial flowers. Those are perfectly fine if they are nice plants and nice flowers and look good. If they don't, then of course obviously you'll want to buy something fresh or use something else. But make sure you have a nice centerpiece. Now, there's two styles of staging a dining room table. One is you can stop right there. I personally like to do that now. I used to set the table with plates and napkins and things like that, and it does look nice, and I have done that. But I've kind of gotten to where now I really like the more bare look. So I go with that. But if you have some really pretty china stored in that cabinet or elsewhere, and you want to use it, put a plate out. Put a saucer on top of it, and put a bowl on top of the plate. Put an elegant goblet and a napkin either in the goblet or beside the plate. If you know how to fold those fancy napkin shapes, that'd be great to put that on there too. Leave the bowl off and put that on top of your plate. The thing you don't want to do, you do not ever want to put out utensils. Unfortunately, they could be used as weapons and when showing a house, and so you want to make sure that you do not put out utensils on a set table. So if you've decided you want to set the table, that's fine. Just make sure, again, your china, your goblet harmonize with your centerpiece, which harmonizes with your rugs. The other thing that you want to have harmonizing is your walls. What's on your walls in your dining room? Anything? Probably. Now, one thing that you're going to have to look at before you can decide how much or what and where you're going to put something on the wall is the DCH, the dreaded China hutch. I love to see people's beautiful things displayed. So are buyers. They're going to stand there and look at all that stuff, and they're not going to pay any attention to your house and how big it is. They're going to be too busy looking at your stuff. Well, we're not trying to sell your stuff. We're trying to sell your house. So let's edit. If you possibly can, pack up everything in the hutch, move it out into the garage or into a storage unit, because that's going to add a tremendous amount of space. Look at how wide that hutch is. Most of them are usually around 18 inches wide. That's going to give you a tremendous amount more space in your dining room for people to walk around, and that's a good thing. So if you can, edit. If you can't, if the thing's just too awkward, too heavy, you can't possibly do it, then edit the shelves where you can see things in them. You only want 2 or 3 pieces per shelf. Use your 1-3-5 rule again, but preferably stick to 1 or 3 on here. You want to go ahead and pack it up, because again, you're going to have to pack it to move it. You might as well go ahead and put it up in a box and put it out in the garage or wherever. But edit, so that what you have left, if you have to leave a piece in there, is again just a few interesting pieces that people will go, oh, that's nice, and keep going, because we don't want them comparing that with what they have at home or whatever. If you are able to get rid of the hutch, like I said, go ahead and do that. Now, depending on the colors of all of the other things we looked at, rugs, centerpieces, carpet, the whole bit, we want your wall art to harmonize or blend in with that. Now again, hopefully you have your neutral walls in here, and so you can do some really neat things with dining rooms. I love dining rooms. They're one of my favorite rooms to stage because they look so elegant and calm and serene when you stage a dining room that it's just beautiful. This is a great place if you have mirrors, that you can use a mirror or mirrors. You could use a long mirror, or you could use 3 small framed mirrors on the wall, on one wall, and then perhaps a nice piece of metal art or a painting on an opposite wall. But just don't overdo it. If you've managed to remove your hutch from the scene, then a good thing to do is to put that main piece of artwork or mirror on that wall where the hutch was, because usually we have selected that wall because it displays our things the best, and so that's usually a really good place to put your metal art. Again, you want to make sure that your dining room table is the focal point, and one of the ways you help do that is to make sure that it's centered under the chandelier. A lot of places have chandeliers of some type or a light fixture over the dining room table, and that's great. Just make sure that your dining room table light is above the table in the center, so that helps center the rest of the room. Again, make sure it's clean. Whether it's a beautiful chandelier with crystal pendants hanging off of it, or whether it's a simple light fixture, whatever it may be, again, this is not the place to display your critters. You want to make sure that it's clean, that it looks as elegant as the rest of the room is going to. So, clean. The other thing that you want to do, again, is look at your windows. If you have a window in your dining room, again, lose the drapes. If you can, lose the valances if you have a valance up. As long as, you don't have the padded ones. If you do, obviously we have to live with that. But if we don't have to, again, you want light, light, light. Pull those blinds up when you have a showing. Let that be one of the things you do as you get ready to leave the house for a realtor to come in and show your property, is make sure you got all the blinds up in all the rooms. And the dining room is just as important as the other rooms to doing that. So make sure that that happens, and make sure, again, those windows have got to be clean inside and out. And I know we occasionally do have rain in Central Texas, not frequently, but occasionally. And so you may have to wash those windows more frequently than you'd like. One little tip about that, you can remove the window screens and stack those in the garage while you're showing your house, because that lets more light in. It makes it easier for you, if you have to go outside and wash a window, not to have to remove the screens every time and not to have to put them back on again. So if you need to, particularly if you've got those light shadowing screens that block the light out, you might want to go ahead and remove those and just stack them neatly in the garage where people can see, okay, the house has screens, because most folks realize that that you want light to see a house. So that's another thing to look at too when you're looking at windows all the way around. So you've got your dining room table, you've got your hutch, maybe. Now some people have another item in there that you can call a buffet or whatever, but it's usually a long piece of furniture with cabinets in it, and a lot of people have one of those in there either in place of or in addition to a hutch. Now again, if you've got a huge dining room, there may be room for that in there, and room for people to be able to walk, say, two abreast around your dining room table with that piece of furniture still in there. If it's in there, that's great. Again, take everything off the top, put one nice centerpiece on it, centered. Again, that's another place where you can take a mirror or a painting and offset it and have it leaning up against one wall and then something down at the other end. So, but go by the size of your dining room. Most of our dining rooms aren't that huge, particularly if it's a house where you've got the two rooms on either side as you walk in and you're using one of those as a dining room. So again, think editing, think what you're going to use, make sure your colors harmonize, and make sure that you have a beautiful dining room for people to walk into and imagine holding their first dinner party in that room. Hope you've enjoyed this and hope it's been helpful. And next time we get together, I want to talk about another important room, because the houses today have a need for it in a lot of cases, and that's your home office. If you have one, you're going to want to hear about what we can do to stage that. See you then.